श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जय। नित्य विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्य विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत शिशिमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य विष्णु विष्णुपाद रशत रशत शिशिमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य विष्णु महाभागवत श्री गोक्षर बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नित्य विश्व श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्य विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानुग गौरी गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विरक्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंड यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। सारार्थ-दार्शिनी वृत्ति की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणेति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत् सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमं चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृन्द। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Indira Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantaramurti Mataji, Ganga Mataji, Bhavatarani Mataji, and Madhavi Didi. Dandavat Pranams to everybody. Hari Bol. Alright. So today we're reading Chapter 60, Krishna Teases Rukmiṇī. So after the first three queens, is it the first three? Or is it four? Anyways, then after that, Krishna abducted Lakshmana, the royal daughter of the king of Madra, from her Swayamvar ceremony. Later, he also married Bhadra, a princess of the Kaikeya kingdom. Now, and then we read Narakasura, the son of the earth goddess from Lord Varahadev, kidnapped thousands of girls. He had also stolen the demigod Varuna's umbrella, Mother Aditi's earrings, and the playgrounds of the demigods known as Mani Parvat. King Indra went to Dwarka and complained about the demon to Krishna. Krishna then went to his capital on the back of Garuda along with Satyabhama. At the entrance of the city, Krishna beheaded the demon Mura with his disc and killed Mura's 7 sons. Thereafter, Narakasura himself came to fight with the Lord. After a long battle, Krishna cut off Narakasura's head with his chakra. Subsequently, the earth goddess came to Krishna and offered her prayers. She gave him various items that Narakasura had stolen and presented Naraka's frightened son at Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna pacified him and made him the king. Krishna then entered Narakasura's palace and found 16,100 young girls. At heart, they all spontaneously accepted Krishna as their husband, and the Lord sent them to Dwarka. Then he went to heaven with Satyabhama and returned Aditi's earrings. Indra and Shachidevi welcomed and worshipped him. While there, Satyabhama desired the heavenly Parijata tree, and Krishna uprooted it to take it to Dwarka. Indra had just received a favor from Krishna, who killed Narakasura. He opposed Krishna's taking of the Parijata tree. Krishna defeated Indra in the fight and took the heavenly tree. Back at Dwarka, Krishna married the 16,100 princesses by manifesting himself in those many forms. One day, Krishna... Okay, and that's where we are at now. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. What was the last verse that we left on? Although the supreme queens each had hundreds of maidservants, they chose personally to serve the Lord by approaching him humbly, offering him a seat, worshipping him with excellent paraphernalia, and massaging his feet, giving him pandachu, fanning him, anointing him with fragrant sandalwood paste, adorning him with flower garlands, dressing his hair, arranging his bed, bathing him, and presenting him with various gifts. Thus ends the chapter on the 15th. Chapter 60, Krishna Teases Rukmiṇī. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Uvacha Karhichit sukam asinam svatalpastam jagar gurum patim paryacharar paishmi Vyajanena sakhi janai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam said, once, in the company of her maidservants, Queen Rukmiṇī was personally serving her husband, the spiritual master of the universe. She was serving him by fanning him as he relaxed on her bed. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. In this chapter, Krishna grinds the fragrant camphor-like heart of Rukmiṇī with the pestle of his words. In other words, the lovely, chaste qualities of Rukmiṇī will become manifest as a result of Krishna's apparently insensitive words, just as camphor's fragrance becomes manifest when crushed on a grinding stone. Rukmiṇī is personally serving Krishna for two reasons. Krishna is her husband, and he is the spiritual master of the universe. Yastveta lilaya Viśvam srijatatyavatishvara sahijata swachsetunam gopitaya yadushvaja. The unborn personality of Godhead, the supreme controller, who creates, maintains, and then devours this universe simply as his play, took birth among the Yadus to preserve his own laws. Commentary. To prove that Krishna's disturbing Rukmiṇī's mood of loving service, which is about to be described, was his pastime and nothing else, this verse states that the creation and destruction of the world is also Krishna's Lila. Though Krishna is unborn, he appeared in the Yadu dynasty in order to protect and maintain the principles of religion. This implies that it can never be Krishna's desire to stop the prem seva of his beloved devotee, but rather he acts in such a way to strengthen that prem. Tasmin antargrihe bhrajan mukta dama vilambina virajite vitanena diparmani mayar api Mallika dama bhi pushpair dvirepa kulanadite jalarandra pravishtaischa gobhischandra maso malai parijata vanamoda vayunodhyana shalinam dupara gurujai rajan jalarandra vinirgatai Payapena nibeshubhre paryanke kashiputtame upte sukasinam jagatam ishvaram patim. Queen Rukmiṇī's quarters were extremely beautiful, boasting a canopy hung with brilliant strings of pearls, as well as effulgent jewels serving as lamps. Garlands of jasmine and other flowers hung here and there, attracting swarms of hummingbees, and the spotless rays of the moon shone through the holes of the lattice windows. Wow, what a beautiful description. As aguru incense drifted out of the window holes, as aguru incense drifted out of the window holes, my dear king, the breeze wafting the scent of the parijata grove carried the mood of a garden into the room. There the queen served her husband, the supreme lord of all the worlds, as he reclined upon an opulent pillow on her bed, which was as soft and as white as the foam of milk. Commentary. The palace is described in order to show that everything was perfectly arranged by Rukmiṇī to please Krishna with her loving service. The room was splendid with shining jewels and a canopy I don't know why I'm having a hard time reading today. The room was splendid with shining jewels and a canopy adorned with hanging clusters of dazzling pearls. The word amalai in this verse may also be read as arunai, which indicates that when this pastime took place, The ruddy rays of the rising moon were entering through the holes of the lattice windows, and clouds of aguru incense were streaming out of the windows. There Rukmini attentively served Krishna, who was lying on the best of beds. Kashiputtame. One second, just checking everything's all right. Hare Krishna, Mitra Vrinda Didi, and Gargrajji Dandavat Pranam. Valavya Janamadaya Ratna Dandam Sakhi Karat Tena Vijayati Devi Upasam Chakra Ishvaram. From her maidservant's hand, Goddess Rukmini took a yak hair fan. She took a chamar with a jeweled handle, and then she began to worship her master by fanning him. Sopachutam kvanayati maninupurabhyam. Upside. Sopachutam kvanayati. Sopachutam kvanayati maninupurabhyam. Rejenguliya valaya vyajana nagrahasta. Vastranta kucha kunkumasho Bhasa nitam badritaya chaparadra. Her hand adorned with rings, bangles, and the chamar fan. Queen Rukmini looked resplendent, standing near Lord Krishna. Her jeweled ankle bells tinkled, and her necklace glittered, reddened by the kumkum from her breasts, which were covered ends of her sari. On her hips she wore a priceless belt. Commentary. Rukmini appeared most attractive with her jeweled ankle bells as she stood next to Krishna. She held a chamar whisk in her hand, which was adorned with golden rings and bracelets. As she fanned Krishna with broad strokes, her jeweled bangles, waist belts, and ankle bells tinkled sweetly. Rukmini looked extremely beautiful with her necklace glittering red from the kumkum on her breasts, which were covered by the ends of her sari. She wore a priceless belt around her hips. Tamrupinam Shriyamananyagatim Niriksha Ya Leelaya Dhritatanor Anurupa Rupa Pritasmayan Alaka Kundala Nishka Kantha Vaktro Lasat Smita Sudham Harirabhabhase Abhabhashe. Sorry. As he contemplated her, the goddess of fortune herself, who desires only him, Lord Krishna smiled. The Lord assumes various forms to enact his pastimes, and he was pleased that the form of the goddess of fortune, that the goddess of fortune had assumed, was just suitable for her to serve as his consort. Her charming face was adorned with curling hair, earrings, a locket on her neck, and the nectar of her bright, happy smile. The Lord then spoke to her as follows. Commentary. Seeing Rukmini, who is much more beautiful than even Lakshmi in Vaikuntha, Krishna spoke. The reason is given here that, for pastimes, Rukmini had assumed a form corresponding to the form of Krishna. Sri Parashar said in the Vishnu Purana, Devate Deva Deheya Manushyatve Chamanushi Vishnur Dehanurupam Vai Karote Shat Manastanum. When Vishnu appears as a demigod, Lakshmi takes the form of a demigoddess, and when he appears as a human being, she takes a human-like form. Thus she assumes a form suitable to the form that the Lord assumes. As Krishna is more beautiful than the Lord of Vaikuntha, so Rukmini is more beautiful than Lakshmi. The word smiled, implies that Krishna smiled slightly while thinking. It is proper that Rukmini has assumed a form appropriate to my form. Now I will joke with her and hear what she says. The four directions were beautified by Rukmini's charming smiling face, which was decorated with curling locks of hair, earrings, and a locket on her neck. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Rajaputripsita Bhupar Lokapala Vibhutibi Mahanubhavai Śrīmad-Bhī Rupaudarya Balorjitai. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear princess, you were sought after by many kings as powerful as the rulers of planets. They were all abundantly endowed with political influence, wealth, beauty, generosity, and physical strength. Tan praptam artino hitva chaidyadin smaradur madan datta bhratra swapitra cha kasmano vavrishe saman." Since your brother and father offered you to them, why did you reject the king of Chedi and all those other suitors who stood before you maddened by Cupid? Why instead did you choose us, who are not at all your equal? Rajabhyo bhyata subhru samudram sharanam gatan palavadbhi krita dveshan prayastyakva nripasanan. Terrified of these kings, O lovely browed one, we took shelter in the ocean. We have become enemies of powerful men, and we practically abandoned our royal throne. By seeing Krishna's statements later on, his mentality here can be understood as follows. When I gave Rukmini one flower from the heavenly Parijata tree, Satyabhama became so full of anger and pride that I could not pacify her even by falling at her feet. Only when I gave her a whole Parijata tree was she satisfied. Rukmini, however, did not show any anger even when she saw me give Satyabhama a whole tree. So how will I be able to taste the sweetness of Rukmini's anger when anger is not possible in her, because she is always sober and speaks sweet words? Thus considering, Krishna decided, if I speak like this to Rukmini, I will be able to provoke her anger. This is how some authorities explain Krishna's speech to Rukmini. Others explain that Krishna spoke as he did to see his beloved Rukmini, how his beloved Rukmini would respond if he tried to uproot the tree of her prem. Thus Krishna said, "My dear beloved, you think that you are very intelligent. Despite your being completely endowed without all transcendental qualities, actually you are ignorant of your own welfare. Therefore, you are not intelligent. Now just listen as I explain this." Krishna then speaks 11 verses, from 10 to 21. "O princess," this is verse 11, "you are the daughter of a king, and I am the penniless son of Vasudeva. Why did you choose me as your husband? You cannot say that you accepted me because there is no alternative, for many kings wanted you as their wife. Nor can you say that those kings were inferior in wealth, beauty, and qualities to me, for they were endowed with fabulous wealth, power, beauty, and courage like the Lokapalas, the planetary rulers. They were not devoid of wealth and enjoyment like Rantidev and others. You cannot say that they were far away, because they came to your place to request you. Nor can you say that your relatives were opposed, for your brother and father wanted to give you to them. He wanted to give you to them. You also failed to notice my cowardly nature, a great fault in one born as a Kshatriya. I fled from the kings out of fear, and now live in the ocean. You cannot say that I showed no fear. You cannot say that though I showed fear, I have proper conduct. For I made enemies with many strong kings, and have only a few friends like Arjuna. Moreover, being a Yadav, it was not proper for me to be a king. Although I was entitled to the throne after killing Kamsa, I abandoned that status and gave the royal throne to my grandfather Ugrasen. Aspashta vartamanam aspashta vartamanam pungsam aloka patamiyusham astita padavim subhru prayasiddhanti yoshita. O fine-browed lady, women are usually destined to suffer when they stay with men whose behavior is uncertain and who pursue a path not approved by society. Commentary. Krishna said, pious women who follow the path of men like us, whose course of action is unclear, who are not strictly religious or irreligious, who sometimes steal others' wives, who at other times follow the rules of Vedic conduct, and who do not follow even common social behavior, since I insulted your brother even in your presence, must always suffer. If some do not suffer, that is to their credit. Nishkinchana vayam shashvan, nishkinchana jana priya, tasmat tasmat prayena na hyarya mam bhajanti sumadhyame. We have no material possessions, and we are dear to those who similarly have nothing. Therefore, O slender, the wealthy hardly ever worship me. Commentary. By using the word nishkinchana, having no possessions, Krishna is saying, I have no interest at all in material sense gratification. Yayor atman samang vittam janmaishvarya kritir bhava tayor vivaha maitricha nottamadhamayo kvachit. Marriage and friendship are proper between two people who are equal in terms of their wealth, birth, influence, physical appearance, and capacity for good progeny, but never between a superior and an inferior. Commentary. Krishna said, furthermore, according to Niti Shastra, it is not proper that you are my wife, since your father and grandfather are very wealthy. Since your father and grandfather are very wealthy, you have abundant personal wealth, whereas my father Vasudeva has no wealth. The only wealth I have is what little I have been able to earn on my own. You hail from a great dynasty, whereas I do not have a good family background being a Yadav. You have jurisdiction over many towns such as Kundina and Vidarbha state, whereas I only have Dwarka and the Anartha state. You are fair complexioned, and I am black. Your prosperity is assured, whereas mine is uncertain because I have many enemies. Those who are equal in wealth, birth, beauty, power, and prosperity should marry, and not those who are unequal in these matters. Vaidarbhyatad avigyaya tvaya dirga samikshaya vrittavayam gunarhina bhikshu bhishlaghita muda. O Vaidarbhi, not being farsighted, you do not realize this, and therefore you chose us as your husband, even though we have no good qualities and are glorified only by deluded beggars. Commentary. Krishna said, you have accepted me as your husband because you are short-sighted and have not considered the overall picture. (17) Atatmano nupurupam vai bhajasva kshatriyarshambham yena tam ashisha satya ihamutra chalapsyase. Now you should definitely accept a more suitable husband, a first-class man of the royal order who can help you achieve everything you want, both in this life and the next. Commentary. Krishna said, Moreover, whatever has happened has happened. Moreover, whatever has happened. But since you are still in the prime of youth, there is no loss for you even now. Indeed, now you should use your intelligence and choose a suitable kshatriya husband. Chaidya Shalvandha Tantavakradayo Nripa Mama Dvishanti Vamoru Rukmi Chapi Tavagraja. Kings like Shishupal, Shalva, Jarasandha, and Dantavakra all hate me, O beautiful thighed one. And so does your elder brother, Rukmi. Commentary. Rukmini may ask, then why did you take me as your wife? Krishna therefore says, I took you because Shishupal, Shalva, Jarasandha, Dantavakra, and your brother Rukmi were my enemies. Tesham virya madandana driptanam smayanuttaye anitasi maya bhadre tejopaharatas satam. It was to dispel the arrogance of these kings that I carried you away, my good woman, for they were blinded by the intoxication of power. My purpose was to curb the strength of the wicked. Commentary. Krishna said, I kidnapped you just to dispel the ignorance of those conceited kings who are intoxicated with their power. Udasina vayam nunam nastrapatyartaka atmalabhyasmaye purna gehayor jyotiya kriya. We care nothing for wives, children, and wealth. Always satisfied within ourselves, we do not work for body and home, but like a light, we merely witness. Commentary. One second. Haribol, Yashoda Didi. Krishna said, You shouldn't worry that I will be unhappy if you accept another man as your husband. I am indifferent to both the body and home. Therefore, I just remain as a witness, without end, like a flaming lamp. Shri Shuka Uvacha Etavar Ukta Bhagavan Atmanam Valabham Iva Manyamanam Vishleshattar Darpagna Upara Manyamanam Avishleshat Tad Darpagna Uparamat. Shukadev Goswami said, Rukmini had thought herself especially beloved by the Lord because he never left her company. By saying these things to her, he vanquished her pride, and then he stopped speaking. Commentary. By speaking like this, Krishna broke Rukmini's pride of thinking herself as Krishna's dearmost queen due to her intense love. Because Krishna was constantly with her, Rukmini thought, even though I am unfit to be Krishna's wife, by his good qualities, he made me his most fortunate wife. Thus I have acquired such a husband who is an ocean of good qualities. Though the word Vallabha, beloved, would normally be masculine to agree with Atmanam, here it remains feminine to express that Rukmini was thinking herself as Krishna's most beloved wife. Viśvanātha states that Krishna destroyed Rukmini's pride by his joking words spoken later in verses 28 to 29. Iti trilokesha patis. Iti trilokesha patistaratmana priyasya devya shrutapurvamapriyam ashrutpita hridijatave patush chintam durantam rudati jagamaha. Goddess Rukmiṇī Goddess Rukmiṇī had never before heard such unpleasantries from her beloved, the Lord of universal rulers, and she became frightened. A tremor arose in her heart, and in terrible anxiety she began to cry. Pada sujatena nakaruna shriya bhuvam likantya shubhiranjana sitai asinchati kumkumarushitostano tastav adho mukyati dukarudhavak. With her tender foot, effulgent with the reddish glow of her nails, she scratched the ground, and tears darkened by her eye makeup sprinkled her kumkum-reddened breast. There she stood, face downward, her voice choked up by extreme sorrow. Commentary. This verse describes the symptoms of Rukmini's anxiety. She scratched the ground with her extremely tender foot, which shone with the reddish glow of her nails. Tasya sudukha bhaya shokka vinashta buddher hastachlatad vala vyajanam papata dehascha viklavadhiya sahasaiva muhyan rambheva vayu vihato pravikirya keshan. Rukmini's mind was overwhelmed with unhappiness, fear, and grief. Her bangles slipped from her hand, and her fan fell to the ground. In her bewilderment, she suddenly fainted, her hair scattering all about as her body fell to the ground like a plantain tree blown over by the wind. This verse is in Rupa Shiksha. Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa Goswami. Oops. Commentary. Rukmini became very unhappy from hearing those unpleasant words. She became fearful that Krishna might leave her. Due to this fear and sadness, Rukmini then became remorseful. Her intelligence thus destroyed, Rukmini could not understand that Krishna was only joking. Her bracelets slipped off her hands because her body became thin due to the pain of impending separation. Then she lost consciousness, fainted, and fell on the floor. Thus Rukmini attained the ninth stage of Bhav, the ninth state of Bhav called ecstatic love. What's the ninth state of Bhav? Anyways. In this pastime, Rukmini experienced the sattvic bhavs, devotional ecstasies ranging from becoming stunned, stamba, to dissolution or fainting, pralay. Tadrishtva Bhagavan Krishna priyaya prema bandhanam hasya prodem ajanantya karuna sonvakampata. Seeing that his beloved was so bound to him in love that she could not understand the full meaning of his teasing, merciful Lord Krishna felt compassion for her. Due to ignorance, the materialist is bound in the cycle of birth and death. Similarly, Rukmini could not understand the depth of Krishna's joking because she was bound by pure love of God. As Krishna Prema increases to Anurag, intense attraction, the devotee who is the shelter of that Anurag feels more and more humble and wretched at every moment. Overwhelmed by delusion, he thinks, I am not worthy of Krishna, and therefore I deserve to be rejected by him. Paryankar avaruhyashru tam uthapya chaturbhuja keshan samuhya tanvaktram brahmanashat patvaparina. The Lord quickly got down from the bed, manifesting 4 arms. He picked her up, um, gathered her hair, and caressed her face with his lotus hand. Commentary. Krishna manifested 4 hands to simultaneously lift Rukmini, embrace her, wipe her face, and retie her hair. Pramrijashu kale netre stano chopahato shucha Ashlishya bahuna rajan ananya vishayang satim santvayam asasantvagya kripaya kripanam prabhu hasya prodi brahmachittam aitad aryam satam gati. Wiping her tear-filled eyes and her breasts, which were stained by tears of grief, the Supreme Lord, the goal of his devotees, embraced his chaste wife, who desired nothing but him, O king. Expert in the art of pacification, Shri Krishna tenderly consoled pitiable Rukmini, whose mind was bewildered by his clever joking and who did not deserve to suffer so. Commentary. Krishna wiped Rukmini's tear-filled eyes and her breasts, which were stained with tears of sorrow. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mama Vaidarbhyasu Yetha Jane Tvam Mat Parayanam Tvarvacha Shrotukamena Kshvelaya Charitam Kshvelyar Charitam Angane. The Supreme Lord said, O Vaidarbhi, do not be displeased with me. I know that you are fully devoted to me. I only spoke in jest, dear lady, because I wanted to hear what you would say. Commentary. Krishna said, if you give up your body, how will I be able to bear such a great burden? I will then have to give up my body too. Having already created problems for me while making false displays of love by embracing me and wiping away my tears, do you now want to cause me further suffering? Fearing such a response from Rukmini, Krishna spoke this verse. O Vaidarbhi, do not be displeased with me. Rukmini might have replied, Oh, I am not displeased with you. I am not displeased with you, who are the most merciful. But upon hearing you say that I should go to another man for my own benefit, after having suffered sorrow by staying beside you, I fainted in bliss. Why did you wake me from that swoon? If I had remained in that state a moment longer, both you and I could have attained the supreme nirvana. The supreme nirvana. Fearing such sarcastic words from Rukmini, Krishna then said, I know that you are fully dedicated to me, having no other goal than me. Rukmini, she says, then why did you speak such cruel words? Krishna, desiring to hear some crooked words from you, O beautiful one, I spoke some joking, untrue words. Mukam cha prema sangrambha Spuritadharam ikshitum Katakshe parunam pangam Sundara bhrukuti tatam. I also wanted to see your face with lips trembling in loving anger, the reddish corners of your eyes throwing sidelong glances, and the line of your beautiful eyebrows knit in a frown. Commentary. In this verse, Krishna gives other reasons for joking with me. Krishna said, I wanted to see your face with lips trembling in loving anger, your eyebrows furrowed, and your reddish eyes throwing angry sidelong glances. If that was Krishna's desire, then why did Rukmini not comply and show anger? Krishna's Icha Shakti, his desire potency, is under his control, but Prem controls Krishna. Consequently, next to Prem, his Icha Shakti has no power. In order to increase Krishna's ecstasy, Prem sometimes goes against the desire of the Lord. That is the situation here. In the Sthāyi Bhav and the permanent loving mellow of Madhur Ras, of conjugal love, Rukmini and Krishna's other consorts display 7 types of love. Prem, pure love, sneha, affection, man, jealous anger, pranay, attachment, rag, passion, anurag, intense attachment, and bhav, ecstatic love. At the proper moment, sorry guys, I went to sleep at 1:30, so I'm just a little bit tired. At the proper moments, one of these 7 sthāyi bhavs will manifest and become prominent. Thus, when Rukmini was fanning Krishna, the sthāyi bhav of anurag had arisen, and because it was predominated by the sanchari bhav of humility, dainyam, she experienced remorse, anxiety, and bewilderment. However, she did not experience affectionate anger or the casting of sidelong glances at Krishna. These symptoms would arise later when the sthāyi bhav of man, jealousy, would appear. Because Rukmini's affection is Grita Sneha, ghee-like affection, her man does not manifest in the extreme. Satyabhama, however, with her Madhu Sneha, her honey-like affection, exhibits man even in anurag and gives Krishna immense pleasure with her trembling lips, angry glances, and furrowed brows. Ayam hi molabo griheshu grihamedhinam yanarmar iyate yama priyaya bhirubhamini. The greatest pleasure worldly householders can enjoy at home is to spend time joking with their beloved wives. My dear timid and temperamental, the greatest pleasure worldly householders can enjoy at home is to spend time joking with their beloved wives, my dear timid and temperamental one. Commentary. Rukmini might object. You become unhappy with my services such as fanning, but derive pleasure when I give up those services and speak angry words to you. You are not pleased to see my smiling face, but are pleased to see my face dried up in extreme misery, discolored by anger and displaying horrible grimaces. Why do you act like this? Krishna answers with this verse. Householders derive the greatest pleasure from joking like this with their beloved wives. Shri Shuka Uvacha Saivam Bhagavata Rajan Vaidarbhi Parisanvita Gyatvatar Parihasuktim Priyatyaga Bhayam Jaho. Shukadev Goswami said, O king, Queen Vaidarbhi was fully pacified by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and understood that his words had been spoken in jest. Thus, she gave up her fear that her beloved would reject her. Papasha rishabam pungsam vikshanti bhagavan mukham savreda hasaruchira snigdha pangena bharata. Smiling bashfully as she cast charming, affectionate glances upon the face of the Lord, the best of males, Rukmini spoke the following, O descendant of Bharata. Shri Rukminuvacha Nanve nandvevam etar aravinda vilochanaha yadvai bhavan bhagavato sadrishi vibhumna kvasve mahimna bhirato kvasve mahimna bhirato bhagavangstradisha kvaham guna prakritiragya grihita pada. Rukmini said, "Actually, what you have said is true, O lotus-eyed one. I am indeed unsuitable for the Almighty Personality of Godhead. What comparison is there between that Supreme Lord who is master of the three primal deities and who delights in his own glory, and myself, a woman of mundane qualities whose feet are grasped by fools?" Taking the same statements by which Krishna previously denigrated himself and praised her, Rukmini now praises Krishna by giving an opposite meaning to those arguments. First, Rukmini responds to Krishna's statement in text 11 of this chapter, Kasman no vabrishe saman. Why did you select us who are not equal to you? Rukmini said, O lotus-eyed Lord, it is true that I can never be equal to you. You are the Supreme Lord endowed with 6 opulences, and you are the controller of the 3 supreme deities, whereas I am a mundane woman controlled by the 3 gunas. Therefore, I am vastly inferior to you. So how can I be be so how can I be even imagined as equal to you? Although Rukmini is the goddess of fortune, due to her extreme humility, she is identifying herself with Krishna's external energy, which in fact is her expansion. Satyam payadiva gunebhya. Satyam payad iva gunebhya urukramanta. Shete samudra upalam bhanamatra at. Nityam karindriya ganai kritavai vigrahastvam tatsevakar nripapadam vidutam tamundham. Yes, my lord Urukram, you lay down within the ocean as if afraid of the material modes, and thus in pure consciousness appear within the heart as the supersoul. You are always battling against the foolish material senses. And indeed, even your servants reject the privilege of royal dominion, which leads to the blindness of ignorance. Commentary. In text 12, Krishna said, Raja bhyo bibhyata subru samudram sharanam gatam. Out of fear of the kings, we took shelter in the ocean. Rukmini responds to this by saying, O Urukrama, O most powerful one. This name indicates Krishna's fearlessness. The Vishvakosh dictionary says that the word krama can mean power or sequence. It is true that actually you are fearless. You seem to have fear of the modes of nature, which are the actual rulers of this world, because they impel all living beings to act. Because you fear that your devotee will come under the influence of the modes of nature and become entangled in sense gratification, you enter the internal ocean of their hearts and remain as the omniscient supersoul to protect devotees. Krishna may object, what is the proof that I reside there? This is answered by the statements of Brahma, Na paishi nata hridayam buruhat sapumksam. For your pure devotees, you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3.9.5. Also, Navayogendra Havi Rishi said, Pranaya Rasanaya Dhritangri Padma. Sabhavati Bhagavata Pradhana Ukta. The devotees bind your lotus feet in their hearts with the ropes of love. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.2.55. Rukmini continued. As the supersoul, you are perceived in terms of the matras, the sense objects, namely taste, form, sense, sound, and touch. Your transcendental beauty and other qualities are perceived by your devotees through meditation. In other words, Upalambana Matra also indicates that Krishna is the sole object of meditation for his devotees. In text 12, Krishna also said, Balar Varbhi Krita Dveshan. We created enmity with the powerful. Rukmini replies, it is the material senses which are actually powerful in this world. You take up the battle against sense gratification on the part of your devotees, and thus you constantly try to help them in their struggle for spiritual purity. In the beginning, the sadhak realizes a little of your sweetness through meditation, but does not see you directly. It appears that you enter their hearts and go to sleep as if out of fear of sense objects, out of fear of the sense objects. When the devotee's attachment to you matures and he conquers the enemy senses, he loses his attraction for the sense objects. Then you manifest yourself as if rising up from sleep. You become directly visible to the devotee and give him your full sweetness. At that time, the eternal loving relationship between you and your devotees becomes an irrevocable fact. In the same verse, Krishna stated, Tyakta nirpasanam. We renounce the royal throne, Rukmini. We renounce the royal throne. Rukmini responds saying, yes, that is quite proper. Your servants also give up royal positions and political posts because it gives rise to complete loss of discrimination. If they do so, then what to speak of you? By the reference to the servants here, it can be understood that the previous statements of this verse are in relation to Krishna's devotees, not to the Lord, for Krishna does not fear or battle with the senses, but he does so in relation to his devotee. Tvatpada-parmamakaranda-jusham muninam vartamasputam nirpashubi nanudurvibhavyam yasmar alokikam vehitamishvarasya bhumangstave hitamato nu ato anuye bhavantam. Your movements, inscrutable even for sages who relish the honey of your lotus feet, are certainly incomprehensible for human beings who behave like animals. And just as your activities are transcendental, O all-powerful Lord, so too are those of your followers. Commentary. Here Rukmini replies to Krishna's statement in text 13. Apasta vartmanam pungsam aloka pantam iyusham astita paravim subhru praya siddhanti yoshita. O fine-browed lady, women are usually destined to suffer when they stay with men whose behavior is uncertain and who pursue a path not approved by society. Rukmini said, yes, it is true. Because your activities are always transcendental, they are unfathomable even to the sages. And certainly they are incomprehensible to the animalistic men entangled in worldly behavior. It is true that you do not follow the customary path. Your endeavors transcend this world. Therefore, the endeavors even of those who follow you are also transcendental. Okay, now last verse. Nishkinchano nanumanayato kinchid yasmai balim bali bhujo piharantya jadya natva vidantya subtripto tripontakam adyatandha preshto bhavan bali bhujam apite pitubhyam. I mean, last verse that we'll read today, not the last verse of our prayers. You possess nothing because there is nothing beyond you. Even the great enjoyers of tribute, Brahma and other demigods, pay tribute to you. Those who are blinded by their wealth and absorbed in gratifying their senses do not recognize you in the form of death. But to the gods, the enjoyers of the tribute, you are the most dear as they are to you. Commentary. Here Rukmiṇī replies to Krishna's statement in text 14. Nishkinchana vayam shashvam nishkinchana jana priya tasmat prayena na vyadaya na hyardya mam bhajanti sumadhyame. We have no material possessions, and we are dear to those who similarly have nothing. Therefore, O slender one, the wealthy hardly ever worship me. Rukmiṇī said, you are indeed Nishkinchana. The word Kinchana means something, and the prefix nir, or as it appears here, nish, indicates negation. Thus, in the ordinary sense, Nishkinchana means one who has nothing. Rukmiṇī said, you are Nishkinchana in the sense that nothing is greater than you. And you are Nishkinchana in the sense that you do not only have some opulence, power, sweetness, fame, strength, knowledge, and renunciation, but you possess all of these in complete measure, since you are the source of all emanations. The meaning of Nishkinchana as poverty-stricken does not apply to you at all, because Brahma and all the greatest demigods who are worshipped by all others worship you. Rukmiṇī replied to Krishna's statement that wealthy men do not worship him by saying, those materialistic men, blinded by wealth, whose very life is their money, do not know you as death, as the punisher. What to speak then of their worshipping you? In text 14, Lord Krishna also stated, Nishkinchana Janapriya. I am dear to those who have nothing. To this Rukmiṇī replied, Brahma and other demigods, who are the wealthiest persons in the universe, regularly offer tribute to you. Since you are the dearmost of the mixed devotees like Brahma, what to speak of the devotees devoid of material desires, the Nishkama Bhaktas? Those who do not desire to engage in anything else, acquire anything else, or inquire into anything else other than the worship of the Lord, are called Nishkinchana by the wise. According to the statements of the Puranas, the word Nishkinchana means the devotee of the Lord. Alright, so we'll read the rest of Rukmiṇī's statements to Krishna tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Śrīla Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Anugauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Braja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata ki jai. Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Oh, and I didn't see Lalit Madhav Prabhu, Hare Krishna, and Savitri, Sudevi Didi, and Indira Mataji, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mandramurti Mataji, Yashoda Didi. Right. Jai Shri Radhe, everybody. See you all tomorrow for the rest of this chapter.